Export procedure. In this module, you will learn about the steps involved in the process of export of goods. Selling goods outside the country is much more complex than selling them within the country. It is because the goods will have to cross the boundaries of the nations involved. There is also an involvement of foreign exchange, rules and procedures of more than one country to be followed, etc. When a businessman engages in exporting his products, he is supposed to follow particular guidelines that involve the following steps. They are receipt of enquiry and sending quotations, receipt of order or indent, assessing importer's creditworthiness, obtaining export license, obtaining pre-shipment finance, production or procurement of goods, pre-shipment inspection, excise clearance, obtaining certificate of origin, reservation of shipping space, packing and forwarding, insurance of goods, customs clearance, procuring carting order, obtaining mate's receipt, payment of freight and issuance of bill of lading, preparation of invoice, negotiation of documents, securing payment. Let us now study these steps in details. Receipt of enquiry and sending quotations. In this step, the exporter receives the enquiry from the prospective importer or purchaser directly or through advertisement in newspapers, etc. about the price, grade, quality, weight, and other description of goods. This inquiry is answered by the exporter by way of a quotation called the pro forma invoice. Receipt of order or indent. In this step, if the prospective importer is satisfied with the information contained in the pro forma invoice by the exporter, he places an order for his required products. This order is also called indent, which contains the instructions by the importer about the goods, price marking, delivery details, etc. Assessing importer's creditworthiness. In this step, once the indent is received by the exporter, he assesses the importer's creditworthiness to make sure that his payment will be met in time after the goods are dispatched to the importer. Thus, he asks for a letter of credit from the importer. This letter of credit is issued by the importer's banker to honor guarantee of payment to exporter's bank. Obtaining export license. In this step, after receiving the letter of credit, the exporter can proceed with his order only after obtaining an export license as per the custom laws prevailing in our country. To obtain the export license, it is obligatory for the exporter to fulfill the following conditions. They are: open an account with the bank authorized by the Reserve Bank of India, obtain Import-Export Code IEC from the Director General of Foreign Trade DGFT or Import-Export Licensing Authority, get his firm registered with the appropriate Export Promotion Council and obtain a registration cum membership certificate RCMF to avail all the benefits provided by the export firms by the government. Registration with the Export Credit and Guarantee Corporation ECGC that helps in obtaining financial assistance from commercial banks and other financial institutions. Obtaining pre-shipment finance. In this step, after receiving a confirmed indent and letter of credit, the exporter approaches his banker for pre-shipment finance so he can procure raw material, process it, and pack and deliver the goods to the port of shipment. Production or procurement of goods. In this step, when the pre-shipment finance is obtained, the exporter either produces the required product himself or buys it from the market for his order. Pre-shipment inspection. The next step involved in case of certain goods is inspection of goods by a government-designated agency to ensure that only good quality products are dispatched for exports from the country. This agency, if satisfied, issues inspection certificate to the exporter. Inspection certificate is mandatory only for certain trading and export houses. Excise clearance. In this step, the exporter has to take excise clearance from the excise commissioner. In most of the cases, the government exempts the exporter from paying excise duty, or if paid, it is refunded later on. The idea is to encourage the exporter to be more competitive in the global market. Obtaining certificate of origin. In this step, the importer may sometimes ask the exporter to send the certificate of origin. The certificate of origin signifies that the goods are manufactured in the country from where they are exported. The importer, in some cases, gets some tariff benefits from his country on such goods. Reservation of shipping space. In this step, the exporting firm has to reserve shipping space and obtain shipping order from the shipping company. Packing and forwarding. In this step, the goods are then properly packed and transported to the port with necessary details about the name and address of the importer, weight of goods, port of shipment, country of origin, etc. on them. On loading the goods, the exporter gets a receipt which represents the title of the goods, and this has to be presented before taking delivery of the goods from the port of shipment. For this, the exporter endorses the receipt in favor of his agent to take the delivery of goods. Insurance of goods. In this step, goods are then insured with an insurance company to protect them against any loss or damage due to perils of the sea. Customs clearance. Before loading the goods, clearance from the customs authorities is necessary. In this step, the exporter prepares shipping bill containing information about particular of the goods being exported, name of the ship, port where goods are to be discharged, country of final destination, exporter's name and address, etc. Procuring carting order. In this step, shipping bill along with export order, letter of credit, commercial invoice, certificate of origin, inspection certificate wherever necessary, and marine insurance policy are submitted to the superintendent of the concerned port trust for getting carting order. Carting order is the instruction to the port staff to permit the entry of cargo inside the dock. Generally, fulfillment of these formalities is entrusted to the clearing and forwarding or CNF agents. Obtaining mate's receipt. In this step, when the cargo is loaded on board, the commanding officer of the ship issues a mate receipts to the port superintendent. Mate's receipt contains information about the name of the ship, berth, date of shipment, description of packages, condition of the cargo at the time of receipt on board, etc. The port superintendent hands over this mate's receipt to the clearing and forwarding agent. Payment of freight and issuance of bill of lading. In this process, on the basis of mate's receipt submitted by clearing and forwarding agent to the shipping company, freight is computed by the shipping company. Shipping company issues bill of lading to the clearing and forwarding agent as an acceptance of goods to be dispatched at the designated place. In case the goods are dispatched through air transport, this document is called the airway bill. Preparation of invoice. In this step, once the goods are sent, clearing and forwarding agent prepares an invoice containing details about the quantity of goods sent and amount to be paid by the importer, and he also gets it duly attested by the customs authorities. Negotiations of documents. In this step, after informing the importer about the shipment of goods, the exporter sends the required documents through the banker to the importer. These documents are certified copy of invoice, bill of lading, packing list, insurance policy, certificate of origin, and letter of credit. The banker is given the instructions to hand over all these documents to the importer after he accepts the bill of exchange. Acceptance of the bill of exchange means that the importer is legally bound to make the payment on the specified date to the exporter. Handing over of documents by the banker against acceptance of the bill of exchange by importer is called negotiation of documents. Securing payment. This is the final step. When the exporter receives the payments against exports, he is required to get a bank certificate which states that all the documents for that particular consignment have been negotiated and payment has been duly received as per the exchange control regulations.